Hi everybody and welcome to the Mental Toughness and Body Show. My name is Rob Evans and I'm your weight loss coach, health strategist and internationally published author, helping take your life, your business, your body, your health, your mindset from where you are to where it is that you want to be. And today I want to talk to you about re-engineering your health. I want you to think about right now, it doesn't really matter what age you are, but imagine your health in 20 years' time. Maybe it's 30 years' time, depending on your age. Let's go 20 years' time. So in 20 years' time, I want you to create a visual image in your mind right now, what you want your body to look like. Go. Right now, 20 years' time. Add 20 years to your life and say, okay, this is what I want to look like. Now, as you're doing that, I'm sure just as soon as I click my fingers, you've probably automatically gone to a body that you want. So if I use myself as an example, so I'm 52 right now, 20 years, 72. If I said to you, describe a 72-year-old male to me, I'm sure most of you would be saying, well, you're going to be wrinkly, you're going to be frail, maybe a little hunched over, walking slower, slimmer because you're starting to slim down, your body's consuming itself, etc., etc. Now, whatever image you've created for yourself based on your age is based on your perceptions of yourself, the values and beliefs that you have of yourself, and to what you believe you are capable of achieving at that age. Now, for me, I think of 72 and I don't see a frail person in myself. I see a strong person, I see a focused person, I see an energized person. I see somebody that probably looks like they're in their 50s, even though I'm in my 70s. Why? Because of the way that I look after my body. Because that's because of how I see my lifestyle and the results that it gives me. Now, depending on what you've come up with is based on, like I say, your values and beliefs of what you think is possible at that age. Now, what happens a lot in life is that people say, oh, well, most people work for retirement. Now, retirement for a lot of people is, oh, well, I'll play lawn bowls, I will play more golf, I'll be relaxing more, I'll just be holidaying all the time and all that kind of stuff. Now, we know there's so much science around this that if you retire from life and you just do social things all the time, you are going to get bored. You no longer have that sense of achievement because you're not contributing to society in a way that you used to. And you say, oh no, I'm ready for that because I'll be sick of it by the time I've been working that long. Well, that's easy to say now because you're on this working side of the fence, but you can't just stop, because what happens when you do that? Your mindset starts to die. When your mindset starts to die, what does that mean? Well, you're probably more likely to be prone to Alzheimer's disease and dementia type diseases because you are not keeping your mind active. Not to mention the fact of what it means to contribute to others in a meaningful way, which is what your work does. Now, whether you work at somewhere like a Woolworths or a Walmart or a McDonald's or a corporation, whatever it is, you are contributing to others. And you say, oh, well, I'm just serving food. Well, if you're serving food, that's still a valuable contribution. If you're cutting hair, that's a valuable contribution. If you're coaching people, that's a valuable contribution. If you're an accountant, that's a valuable contribution. Whatever it is that you do in a job, you contribute to others. You're a part of a link in the chain to help achieve a result. And if you stop that, that can be really quite damaging. So go back to that image that you have, that 20 years, and maybe based on what I've said, maybe you need to change that. So maybe you think, okay, well, when you said that, I was thinking, oh, well, I'm going to be Maybe you're going to be more overweight. Maybe you're going to be slimmer and frail. Maybe you're going to be in more pain. That's what you're imagining. You think, oh man, in another 20 years, based on how I am right now, this is how I'm going to be. So I want you to now challenge that 20-year image and say, okay, well, what do I want it to be? So the image I described of myself, do you want that for you? Do you want to be a sexy version of you? Do you want to be a stronger version of you, a focused, energized, pain-free version of you, functionally strong? Functionally strong, by that I mean you can do your day-to-day functions pain-free. You can squat down and pick something up off the floor, put your socks on, wash yourself, do all those things. Like at 70, for some people, that's just not possible. I want to be able to live my life on my terms, be strong, fit, healthy, energized, do what I want, when I want, with who I want, and be pain-free. Now, if you're only 20, 30 right now, and you think, well, in 20 years' time I'm going to be 50, well, what do you want to be? If when I was 30, I said, what do I want to be like at 50? The thinking I have now, I didn't have at that age. But to know now that I am the best version of myself ever at this age is super exciting. So I'm proving to myself, the older I get, the better I can get. That to me makes it really exciting. So you've got that image, right? And maybe you've now just changed it. You've made yourself a bit sexier, a bit stronger, a bit healthier, more pain-free. So you've got that image, right? So we're going to reverse engineer it. Are you on the trajectory to achieve that image now? Now, if it's not an awesome image, I want you to change it. I want you to improve it. Now, for me right now, am I on the trajectory to achieve what I want to achieve? I would say yes, because I've never been more focused. I've set some goals for my next 12 months as well. And I know I'm proving to myself every day that I can do better. I can do better. Now, if you reverse engineer yourself and you say, okay, well, let's say you want to be like me or better than me, and say, well, okay, right now, I'm doing this. I'm not really working out. I'm not watching what I'm eating. I don't really like my job. I'm dragging my butt. I've got some aches and pains. I'm struggling with sleep. I'm not energized at all. Then you're not on the right path to achieve that magnificent outcome that you want. So what you need to do is say, well, okay, what's the gap here? Okay, it's going to be quite a big gap. But you can also fall into that trap of saying, well, that's so far off, that may or may not happen to me. But because it's not here and now, right in front of you, saying, well, yeah, actually, you're going to end up just like that. You're going to have all kinds of diseases and illnesses by the time you get to that age. Then unless that's near in your mindset right now, then you're not going to make a change. But if you are, and we can't predict the future, but what we can do is put ourselves in the best possible position to change and to stave off those types of diseases. So you're going to have a gap right now, most likely. So if we're reverse engineering it, what do you need to start doing? What do you need to start doing now? Well, think about it in a financial terms. If you want to achieve a certain level of savings by 20 years' time, then unless you start saving, guess what? It won't accidentally show up. You are not just going to win the lottery and have that number that you have made in your head turn up. Instead, what you have to do is you have to earn money, you have to save it, and you have to consistently save and invest the right way so that it builds and builds and builds and grows until you get to that amount. And then you can reverse engineer that right now and say, okay, well, if I need to save, $100,000 in 20 years' time, well, obviously you need to save at least $5,000. Well, if you save $5,000 a year without any interest, that's going to give you $100,000. So if you break that down, let's make it $12,000 a year. So then that's $1,000 a month. That's $250 a week. Okay, what's your income at the moment? What's the gap? Can you save $250 comfortably right now? No, you can't. Okay, what am I going to do? All right, I need to cut some of my expenses. Okay, I'm going to cut off Netflix. I'm going to reduce my mobile phone plan. I'm going to, cut off these subscriptions, etc., etc. I'm going to spend less on going out, whatever it is, and you find a way to get there. Now, you can do the same for your health. Now, obviously, there's no exact science with, okay, if you do these things, you will definitely look this way and etc., etc. But what you can do is put yourself in the best position, knowing that if you consistently strength train, if you consistently eat 6 highly nutritious meals, if you consistently get enough sleep, you consistently get the world's best supplements into you, if you consistently do some cardiovascular exercise as well, if you can consistently, read, grow yourself, grow your mindset, then you know that you're doing the right things to put yourself into that position. So if you're not doing all of those things right now, then you say, well, where's the gap? What is it that I should be doing now that I'm not? Where can I get some more focus? Now, your best way, your fastest way to do this is to get coaching, because the coach will be able to analyze with you, okay, I can see these are the things that you're doing right. Now, people often will say to me, I'm going to the gym, I need a hand with my food. So, okay, now the reality is usually that, yes, they're turning up at a gym, they're not following a structured program, they're not consistently focusing on getting stronger. They're just turning up, doing a few different exercises, and they just like to say that they go to the gym. And look, they feel good, it's good for their mental health and everything, but they can do it smarter, they can do it better. People that say, no, my food's fine, I eat healthy, I just need somebody to kick my butt. So, okay, that normally is a bit of a red flag and says, okay, well, your food's probably not spot on, so let's go through that anyway. And then I always find gaps that people have, because you don't know what you don't know. And then when it comes to the training, it's like, well, it's not just about kicking someone's butt and thrashing them. It's about doing it in a way that teaches them how to do it forever, doing it safely, doing it sustainably, making sure that we're making them stronger, listening, getting them to listen to their body and communicate with me about what's working, what's not working, and doing it that way. So right now, you're going to have some gaps. We want to close those gaps. We want to get you on that pathway to success so that you can achieve a better level of health in 20 years' time. And say, oh, well, that's not possible because, in 20 years' time, I'm going to just naturally, people get older and they get more sick, etc., etc. But that's your mindset based on your values and beliefs and your experiences. It doesn't have to be that way. I'm healthier and stronger and better looking than I've ever been in my life because I've been so focused for the last 32 years. And this year, I said, this is the year that I'm going to do those things. So what did I do? I decided to make the change. And that's what you need to do too. If you want to have all the benefits of amazing health in 20 years' time, then reverse engineer what you're doing. And you can't say, well, I'll just focus on that for the last 5 years. For the next 15 years, I'm going to abuse my body and just do whatever it is that I want. Or, I'll partially look after it. My parents and grandparents lived till they were 90s. I'm happy with that. So, I'm just going to keep on doing what I'm doing. What we see is that pain, suffering, disease, problems with your immune system, problems with your mindset in terms of dementia and those kinds of illnesses tend to show up in your body after about 30, maybe 40 years of doing a certain activity. So for instance, smoking. If you've been smoking for 20, 30 years, then usually that will show up in your body in the form of a cancer in some ways. It doesn't happen straight away, but over time you can start to see that. If you're making really, really poor food choices, eating a lot of fast food takeaway with a lot of additives, a lot of oils and that kind of stuff, then you'll see that not only have you got this spare tire around your belly where all the fat deposits and that are sitting, and for some of you, you might have a faster metabolism and that's not helping, not showing in that way on your body, but it will be showing on your inner health, most likely. And when you're leaving these little deposits in your body constantly, you're not cleansing your body constantly, then in 20 to 30 years' time, that may show up in a way that you really don't like. And that may be something like heart disease, stroke, cancer, high cholesterol, type 2 diabetes, a range of other diseases and illnesses that you will not like. And what can happen is that I see with a lot of my older clients is that their life completely changes in a way that you would never have thought of 20 years ago. For instance, the assumption is that once you're at that age and say retired, that you have all this free time to do all these things. But so many of my elderly people that I've worked with before, what they tell me is the amount of time that they have to spend through the week at appointments. I said, what do you mean? Specialist appointments. Because normally each person has some issues. And whether it's a leg, a knee, a hip, a heart, some type of condition where they're required to see, say, a specialist. So what does that mean? Well, if you live where I do, so a lot of the clients that I see out my way, they're normally in the city somewhere or much closer to the city. So that means a lot of travel through normally peak hour traffic. They're seeing a specialist. So do you ever rock up to a specialist and you walk straight in with no waiting? No, you normally have to wait, and sometimes you have to wait a long time. So they're spending a lot of time doing that. They spend time going to the chemist to have prescriptions filled and all that kind of stuff, going to the doctors, lots of medical appointments throughout the week. And I remember one of my elderly couple clients that first told me this, and I thought, wow, I never would have thought of that, because my perception has always been they must just have so much free time. But they were telling me that they spend like 5-6 hours a week just traveling to appointments and things. And it's like, wow, that's a long time. And it could be rehab and all that kind of stuff. So you can avoid all that, potentially. Obviously, there's things that are outside your control. But imagine if you could avoid that, if you could be pain-free. I may have mentioned on this podcast before how my own family tree of health is quite poor. And I'm in a high-risk category of pretty much every disease that you could mention on both sides of my family. But I use that as fuel and energy to make sure that I don't end up like that. Now, will I end up like that? Only time will tell. But what I can do is control what I put into my body. I can control my mindset and how I keep that active. I can control how I exercise, when I exercise, how much I exercise. I can control the supplementation that I put into my body. I can control the amount of cardiovascular exercise that I can do. I can control the things that I'm reading, the things that I'm watching, how I spend my time, who I spend my time with. I can control all of those things. And when you do, that's when you can start to get different outcomes. But you will only do that if you start to reverse engineer your health. This is a simple exercise to do and really a bit of a wake-up call. If you could just look 20 years into the future, 30 years into the future and say, what do I want my health to look like? Have a great day wherever you are. If you want coaching from me, I coach people all around the world in this area. Go to the mentaltoughnessandbodyshow.com, opt in for a free consultation, and we can get started straight away. Have a great day.